The problem is when you shoot out these prayer books, right?
Then the submarine must go forward.
The submarine goes in the opposite direction. Now, if instead of rabbis, you have Roman Catholic priests, now...
So you're talking about a dispersal of religious energy here.
Well, no,
so
no.
What are we talking
about?
What ratio are we talking about? 500 rabbis, 500 mixed denominations?
You can have mixed denominations. The whole point is that, say, Christian, right? Now, my reason for saying this is that the Christian Bible includes both the New and the Old Testament. So a Christian Bible would therefore be heavier than a Jewish Bible.
So the inverse weight ratio,
yes,
proportionate to the energy ratio, would therefore be inverse.
Greater, yes. And they would get to New York faster.
So what we're talking about now, to round up.
No, I have a further suggestion. Though these books are fairly thick. Oh, no, I was going to suggest that the ideal people, no, this is certainly true, the ideal people to have in the submarine are salesmen of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Because if each of them had the complete Encyclopedia Britannica and that was shot out of the torpedo tubes.
Yes, but that means once they're shot out, there's no more energy left.
That's true, but you have very wise fish after a little while.
So we're talking about reserve supplies of rabbis with prayer books,
or Bibles, I would say.
Christians with Bibles, and encyclopedia salesmen.
Encyclopedists.
But the problem
we were discussing the possibility of having rabbis, or Roman Catholic priests, or Encyclopedia Britannica salesmen, using their wares, as it were, to propel a vehicle through the sea. There is a further possibility which has occurred to me, which is that if we had all, for example, the rabbis standing on top of the boat and peeing over the side in unison, this would have a similar effect.
I've just been out to check those theories of yours, and the first thing I say is this.
How's Rabbi Cohen?
The first thing I find out is this, that it says quite clearly that if you have a ratio of, say, 10 milligrams of energy going out from each urination, that energy is still absorbed by that energy is still absorbed by the
not milligrams.
Well, it's still absorbed. The same energy is still absorbed by the motion of the boat. Now,
This is
the motion of the ship. Now we can't work on that principle. What we've got to do is
wipe clean that slate
and start like this.
Shall I give you a demonstration?
No. Let's go back to the original concept, the original proposition. We have an inert submarine in the sea, pointing to New York. Still, it has no energy of any sort.
Very well.
To get home, we have an assumption of 500 rabbis of one faith, an assortment of Christian faiths.
Yes.
Plus technical staff,
what
like
about the
sailors and
Britannica salesmen?
We'll leave those aside for now, otherwise we've got a different energy.
You drown?
Now what we've got here, we've got 500 We've got 500 First Testament Bibles and 500 Old Testament Bibles.
New Testament word is for
sorry, New Testament Bibles, right. So now let's take that as a proposition.
But surely the Christians use both by the New and the Old Testament. I mean, even we haven't considered Islam yet.
But we don't want to move away from a different energy source. We must make this submarine, this hypothetical submarine, move to New York, right?
Yes.
Now the only way to do that is one way. That is either prayer or nodding.
But you could do both together. I haven't heard the idea that prayer produces energy. Could you?
Energy is produced in two forms: negative and positive energy. Negative energy is energy which doesn't exist. Positive energy is energy that is always there.
Always there. Yes.
So, in a sense, that by reducing the negative energy which isn't there, you will increase the positive energy.
Yes. That's
positive energy is is non-inert matter, and negative energy is inert matter. In this case, we're talking about a negative energy ratio of the submarine being nil, and a positive energy ratio of the religious energy which is available on the ship. Because if the crew cannot make the ship move by any other means, there's only one way that the ship can move forward. We're talking about an object in the sea, under the sea, floating in an equilibrium. Right.
You use the energy.
We're assuming, therefore, that the ballast of the vessel is still in working order. So it is now floating in, say, 500 fathoms of sea. Now, it's also in a non-current...
It's only working in a holy sea?
It works... No, what I'm getting at is that it's in a sea that doesn't have currents, that it is, say, the Sargasso Sea. It is dead, so there's no energy pushing it forward or backwards. It is floating, as it were, in space. So yes. How do we get it to move forward?
Well, it's, as you say, it's the use of prayer combining positive and negative energies. And let me see, Pope Pius III, or I think it was, who came up with the equation which only applies, unfortunately, to Roman Catholics, for the energy conversion. And the equation, excuse me, the equation must be well known to you, which is E equals RC squared.
But what happens to the rabbis then? That means that do they use reverse calculation? That makes... Well, you see, you can't have one lot of denomination using one calculation and another lot using another, because in effect you'll have a slightly stronger or a slightly lesser.
Let me tell you how it works. Now you see, you asked me a question, you won't let me answer it.
Yeah, let me just add an extra interesting point here. You've got negative and positive energy, but you've also got this other thing, which is faith. Now, if you use prayer as a force of, say, propulsion in this case, because what we're dealing with is a submarine, B, a point of
no return.
No, a point of return, which is New York, we'll say, which is, say, for instance, 100 miles equidistant from the point to New York. Now we've got negative and positive energy to overcome, and we've also got faith. Now, the faith relates to this: that if you've got a doubting,
please let me explain.
You've got a doubting rabbi or a doubting archbishop, unbeknown to the others, you might have 499 faithful servants of the Lord. So, yes, in other words, the prayer ratio in relation to its energy levels is going to be variable.
Let me explain. This business of it's not really positive and negative energy. It's sort of matter and antimatter. So let's say, if we consider, we have in the Jewish religion, we have the very religious Jews, which are the Hasidim, yes?
Yes.
And we have, on the other side, the progressive Jews, you see? So, an idea which has just occurred to me...
Does progressive in that mean going forward?
It does,
this is what we're trying to do. So do we don't have rabbis, we have 500
just listen,
progressive?
Please. No. We have 250 progressive rabbis. They're still called rabbis, but with a little r. And 250 Hasidic rabbis with a very big R, which is